On April 7, 2026, U.S. President Donald Trump issued a final deadline to Iran. Only a few hours remained when he posted a shocking message. If Iran did not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, an entire Iranian civilization could be wiped out forever. The world was stunned. A direct threat of this scale from one of the most powerful leaders raised a terrifying question. Was a nuclear strike coming next? Many people genuinely believed that night could end in catastrophe. There seemed to be no chance for peace. But just before the deadline expired, something unexpected happened. A sudden 2-week ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran was announced. However, the calm didn't last long. Peace talks collapsed, and the U.S. responded with a naval blockade on Iranian ports. Then came another twist. Iran briefly opened the Strait of Hormuz for commercial ships, only to shut it down again the very next day, and even fire at vessels passing through. So what is really happening in this conflict? This war has already stretched for weeks, costing thousands of lives across Iran, Lebanon, Israel, and even among American forces. These numbers may sound like statistics, but in reality, they represent destroyed families and millions forced to leave their homes. The most dangerous escalation came when nuclear facilities were targeted. The Natanz nuclear facility was attacked, followed by strikes near the Bushehr nuclear power plant, Iran's only working nuclear plant. This was extremely risky. Any serious damage could have caused radioactive leaks, contaminating water across the Gulf, and triggering a disaster similar to the Chernobyl disaster. But the real turning point came when Iran shot down a U.S. tank, F-15E Strike Eagle. 2 crew members were on board. One was rescued quickly, but the other was stranded deep inside enemy territory. A race began. Who would reach him first? The injured officer survived alone for more than a day, hiding in the mountains and sending a short message. God is good. At first, U.S. officials feared it was a trap. But once confirmed, a high-risk rescue mission was launched. The CIA spread false information to confuse Iranian forces, while elite units like Delta Force and Navy SEAL Team 6 entered hostile territory. After intense operations, the officer was successfully rescued. Trump later declared success, but the reality was clear. Iran had still managed to shoot down a U.S. jet and damage multiple aircraft during the operation. Meanwhile, repeated warnings to reopen the strait were ignored, tensions kept rising, and threats became more aggressive. As the situation reached a breaking point, embassies across the Middle East began warning citizens to seek safety. The world stood on the edge of a massive war. Then, unexpectedly, a ceasefire was brokered, reportedly with the help of Pakistan. But the situation quickly spiraled again. Israel launched heavy strikes in Lebanon, causing massive casualties. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clarified that Lebanon was not part of the ceasefire. Peace talks resumed, but failed, mainly over disagreements on Iran's nuclear program. The U.S. demanded a long-term halt, while Iran was only willing to agree for a shorter period. Intensified its naval blockade. Even global powers like China raised concerns as trade routes were affected. Iran again played a strategic move, briefly reopening the strait, causing oil prices to drop, and then closing it once more. Amid all this, India also faced consequences. Indian oil tankers attempting to pass through were forced to turn back after coming under threat. Now, as the ceasefire nears its end, the biggest question remains, will a deal finally happen, or is the world heading back toward war? And even if an agreement is reached, will all sides actually follow it? Because so far, every time peace seems close, something pulls the region back into conflict. In the end, one question still stands. How long will this destruction continue?